The holiday starts with Passover Eve. It's an evening with plenty of details. And what's the story of the Passover Eve? Leil Seder in Hebrew literally meaning to put things in order. It's the order of coming out of Egypt. It's the order of actions which a person has to perform inside himself in order to disconnect from his ego, rise above it, and afterwards to return and correct all of his egoistic desires, which he does during the Omer count, the inventory as we called it. And when he counts, he corrects. You remember what we say, that I've hit this and that sphira, meaning everything that I want to correct, that I flawed, the sphira of Netzach and that, but before the sphirot. Let's talk about Passover. Passover Eve, Leil Seder, is an action, is a series of actions that a person has to perform in order to disconnect from his ego. Yes, you're talking a lot about the ego. A lot. It's our entire nature. So when you're talking about disconnecting from my ego, it means that it's a recommendation for myself today. Were I your grandchild and I tell you, wise grandpa, give me an advice for life, learn how to disconnect from your ego, and that's the main thing. But what's wrong with the ego, dear grandpa? Because it bitters your life and you will have to leave it, escape it, but unless you learn about it, you'll get blows that will teach you nonetheless how to flee from it. And it's a very hard and bitter and long teaching. I'm afraid I don't understand your definitions, dear grandpa, if we continue the allegory. What do you mean when you say ego? Ego, it's called your attitude towards other people. My attitude towards others? Others. Only towards others. You can eat and drink and have a family and kids. Eat 10 portions a day, build a palace for yourself. That's not considered an ego. To be a billionaire, it's not considered ego. What do you call ego? Ego, it means that you want to use another person like yourself adversely in order to rise above him. What do you mean? When I want to suppress someone, that's called ego. The ego is measured solely with respect to you using others adversely. So let's go back to the Passover Eve. What does that mean? Leil Seder, the Passover Eve, it's disconnecting, escaping from using others adversely in all aspects. Again, disconnection, disconnection from adversely using others. Is there something about that night that teaches me how to do it? It's a symbol where we reach a life which is the Egyptian darkness and we get blows because of our ego. The Pharaoh within us gets blows. Imagine that your body is getting blows, sicknesses, disappointments, problems from the kids, the family, the relatives, your parents, your grandchildren, everything there only is. All that, the poor Pharaoh, meaning your nature, suffers so that you want to escape from it. You want to flee from it. I want to die. I don't know how. It's better to die than keep on living this way. That's the Egyptian darkness. And then suddenly it reveals that we can rise above it from the darkness. And then I escape. I escape in haste. I don't care about nothing. I escape. That's the exodus from Egypt. This is what we're celebrating. That an opening opens for us the size of a tip of the needle where we can escape through there. That's how hard our life was. But we can come to this hard life through thinking, understanding, learning, and then we can take a small thing and enlarge it to make it look big, like people that hear lectures about smoking, how hazardous it is. So God forbid they don't have to be poisoned and have lung cancer and so on. They identify it in advance and escape. We can do the same with Egypt. If not, we will feel our life and our world as complete darkness, and especially we, the Jews. I wanted to ask, on Leil Seder, Passover Eve, on the ceremony we have this big bowl that we put different special foods on it. We have the shank bone, the bitter herbs, the roasted egg, the three matzahs. There's this special session that what are all these things? Not necessarily to go into the resolution of is each of these, but what's this bowl? What's the story about? First of all, the Agadah that we read, it's as if incorrect calling it the Agadah. It's the order of the coming out of Egypt. It's the order of Passover, meaning to pass over. In what way do I come out? And there are many things there that I hope that we'll meet again, and I'll be able to just a bit explain it, even though that it's really hard, because for this we have to understand how are we operated in our world, by which forces of nature are we operated, how do these forces of nature influence us, and why when these forces of nature deliver us from Egypt, that put us in Egypt to begin with on purpose and then deliver us from Egypt, why do they work according to this order called Kalpas, Maror, the four glasses, and so on? And these are also symbols of coming out of Egypt. Yeah, the shank bone, the four glasses, the damim. We'll have to talk about this next time, but still, can you summarize what's the most important thing we learned about Passover? That let's examine ourselves and discover that we're under the rule of our ego called Pharaoh, and we won't have a good life if we keep on going this way, but let's decide as quickly as possible that we have to escape it, escape the rule of our Pharaoh that exists in each and every one of us, the control of our ego, at least disconnect from it. We'll decide together, it's going to be really easy because the entire people comes out of Egypt. Let's reach a social consensus about it and escape, rise above this bad relation towards each other. Our life and our country will be completely different. Amen. So, happy Passover to everyone.